Da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum. What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, another special Kickstarter review, and today we're excited to check out Tavarua from Far Off Games. This is for 1 to 6 players. Age is 13 plus, so it'll take about 30 to 60 minutes to play, and this is the second game from Far Off Games. Their first game was Zia Legends of the Drift System, which I was crazy about. Absolutely adore that game. This game is actually about surfing. You're going to be riding the waves on longboards and shortboards and trying to stay on balance. But does the game stay on balance? What does that even mean? Let's open it up and I'll tell you. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Tavarua. As I always like to mention, this is the promotional copy I have in front of me, so take everything you see here with a grain of salt. First and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule booklet. It's probably about 16 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, all the stuff you like to see in a well-done rule booklet. Zia Legends of a Drift System, despite the fact the game was incredibly complex, had an amazing rule booklet. I expect nothing less of this one. This is a game with a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving pieces, and a bad rule book could completely ruin this game. I'm happy to say this is a good rule booklet now, and it's a work in progress. So by the time it gets to you, hopefully it'll be absolutely fantastic. So in Tavarua, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking your little meeple down here on your two kinds of surfboards. You're going to be trying to surf on the break and gain points. You're going to keep track of your points on this little tracker right here. You're going to be putting your points using these little tokens right here, and you have 4 of these tokens. You only have 3 on the board, and as you might notice, there's 2 longboards and 2 shortboards. So you can't just completely go all longboard the whole game or all shortboard the whole game. You're going to have to mix it up. Whoever's the most points at the end of this deck of cards running out is going to be the winner of the game. So let's get into the gameplay here a little bit. We're going to go over the components, and then we're going to get into a little gameplay. And I want to warn you, there's tons and tons going on here. So I'm just going to try and give you a feel for how the gameplay works. So first, components. Everybody's going to get a handy-dandy little cheat sheet card right here. I didn't mention this in the pros and cons, but I hope they make this bigger because it's still not enough, even though it is double-sided, and it is helpful. But you're still going to be like, wait, how does that work? How does this work? Because there's a lot of moving parts going on here. Next, let's take a look at the board over here. You're going to start, and you're going to grab your meeple, and you're going to pick out which kind of surfboard you want to do, whether you want to do the long board over here or the short board. You're also going to have this board right here to symbolize your balance and where you're going to select your actions. One side has the long board, and one side has the short board. Now, the short board is going to be better for going through tubes or tunnels or whatever they're called. And it's also going to be able to give you number 4 cards. Number 4 cards will make you more powerful at swimming and some other different things. Whereas the longboard is going to be a lot easier to balance on because these little circles right here are going to be how you're going to see how well you're balanced. Because the whole point of the game is to stay on your surfboard as you're surfing without falling off. If you fall off, you're going to get less points. So as you can see, there's 7 circles here as opposed to 5 over here. So this side's going to be easier to stick on, but it's going to be harder to go through tubes. Also, you can't play 4 cards if you are on the long board. That's just one of those. There's tons of little things like that to keep track of. So what you'll do is you'll start on the shore. We'll just pretend we're going to start with our short board. So we would start in the middle there, and what you're going to try and do is then swim into the channel and then eventually get onto the break over here and surf. But the catch is you have to wait until a wave breaks. That's where these little dice come into play. When you first start the game, you're going to roll the dice and play them on there. A wave breaks once it has hit its number over here. So for instance, this wave is not broken yet until it gets to the 2 next round. Whereas this 5 right here is broken. It broke up here, and the 1 has broken right now. So you could potentially, boom, get your surfboard on there if you decide to do that. And then it would be an easy way to get some quick points. You're not going to get many points because you're about to hit the shore, but you could still gain some points. So you're going to take your meeple and you're going to do that. Now, while you're on these waves, bad things are going to happen. Those bad things are going to come in these cards right here. These cards are also going to trigger the end of the game. When you first start off the game, there's this kind of complex thing you're going to do. We're going to take some cards out and shuffle them in, and that's just so nobody can card count. But as you can see, this card is going to tell you how much you're going to go off balance if you are surfing. Not if you're laying down swimming, but if you're actually surfing on the break. So for instance, this card, when you flip it up, is either going to be move you two spaces up on your surfboard, or two spaces down on your surfboard, which could potentially be really bad, especially if you're in a spot right here where two spaces down would knock you off your board and knock you into the wash, which means you're still going to score points, but you're not going to score as many points. I should mention that when you're surfing, once you get on there, you're going to get points no matter what. But there's 3 different ways to score points, depending on if you make it to the shore, or if you decide to go into the wash, or if you decide to wipe out. There's lots of little things like that to keep track of in this game. So this one means you're either going to be up 2 or down 2. This one means you're going to go up, and you're either going to go up 2 or 3. This one's down 2 or 3. As you can see, they're pretty self-explanatory. In this one, for instance, you would go up 2. This one, you go up 3. Now, there's also going to be tubes, or tunnels, I believe they're called. Tubes, I think they're called, which are going to be waves that you are going to have to deal with. These are the surfer's dream. If you've seen any surfing movie, that's when, like, the water wraps around you and you're inside the wave. And these are going to be a lot easy for you to surf if you are on the shortboard. So when this pops up, and let's pretend your guy is in the break over here and he is surfing, all he has to do is avoid this number. Whatever this number is, it's going to be a 1, 2, or 3. So he has a 2 and 3 shot of avoiding this. However, if you are on the long board, which is going to be harder to do in the tube because you have a bigger board, you're going to have to hit this number exactly. So you have a 33% chance of hitting it. And you say hitting it. What does that mean? Well, that's going to be these cards. And you're going to have 5 of these cards in your hand at all times. You're going to play 1 per turn. And the important thing to note on these cards are going to be the numbers up here. 1, 2s, 3s, and 4s. And as I mentioned, if you have a 4, you can't do that on a long board. So we would have to get rid of this and draw a different card. So there would be a 2. This would be a terrible hand to have because, as you note, these are all downward. Because when you do this, you're going to... It's an action selection game. So each round, you are going to pick one action you want to do. All of the actions are listed right here. So catch, paddle out, ride, score, wait, paddle in, bail, recover. They're all down here. So there's 8 actions in total you're going to take. That sounds really daunting, but a lot of them are pretty simple. Like, for instance, wait. Wait just means that your surfer is just going to wait here because you're waiting for, say, for instance, you might be waiting for this 3 to come down here and break. Because each round, this is going to move down. You're going to roll this dice. And you're going, oh, that'd be nice. It's a 6 up there. You would just be waiting for this to break. So then next round, you can start surfing on that wave. For instance, paddle out and then paddle in. That's very self-explanatory. So, for instance, if you played the paddle out action on a 1, you were just going to go, boom, 1. If you played the paddle in with a 1, you just go in 1, and then you discard that card and draw a new card. But there's lots of different actions you can take. Catch means that you're finally going to catch a wave and go out there and then try and maintain your balance. Score is if you're bailing, and that's when you're getting off your surfboard without wiping out. Whew, lots of stuff. Keep going, keep going. Next, we have special ability cards. I haven't even mentioned these. These are going to be one-time use cards. They're going to have some really cool special abilities. Think of them a little bit like Catch-Up AI. You're going to be able to purchase these cards with what are called Stoke tokens. You're going to be able to get Stoke tokens for doing a different thing. Anytime you catch a wave. So anytime that you start surfing, you're going to get a Stoke token. Anytime, if you have a contest. Oh, gosh, I didn't even mention that. There is very little player interaction. However, there can be player interaction if 2 people try to catch a wave at the same time, at which time you're going to try and play a card, and then green beats maroon, I believe it is, or maroon beats green. I have to look in the rules. That's one of the cons I'm going to have to tell you about. But anywho, you'll get a Stoke token if you get cut off and if someone else catches your wave. Shore, whenever you ride a wave to the shore, so whenever you successfully make it all the way to shore, you're going to get a lot of points, but you're also going to get a Stoke token. And then wipe out. Whenever you wipe out, you're going to Stoke tokens. So you'll get plenty of Stoke tokens throughout the game. These can be used to purchase these cards right here, these one-time special ability cards. We'll go over a couple of them. When riding a wave, discard this card, immediately look at the back of the top 3 wave cards, rearrange them in any order. Pretty useful. Inspiration. During action play phase, discard this card, immediately look through the discard pile and take up to 3 cards. So as we saw that terrible hand earlier, where all of our cards were pointing down on our balance track, that would be really useful because we could get some plus up. So, tons of tokens going over here. You'll get tokens for going to the nose. You'll get tokens for riding tubes, which are those things right there. And you'll also get Stoke tokens, which you can use to modify the numbers on your card. So you can turn this into a different number. Or to purchase the one-time use special ability cards. Are you still with me? I know there's a lot going on here. So, let's go through a mock round. You can see exactly what is going to happen. So the first thing, you're going to advance the waves. That just means that this wave is going to bloom, go like that, and then this wave is going to go to the top, and you re-roll like that. Next, you're going to play your cards down and do whatever action you want to do. So you're going to take your 5 cards, and you're going to play them down whichever side and whichever spot you want to do. So let's just say that we want to catch this wave right here. So all we have to do is play a card down, and boom, we have now caught this wave, and now we are going to start dealing with whatever that is. We would know that the next thing that's going to happen is we are going to go up 2 or 3. So we would then want to try and focus ourselves, our next action, into going down, because we know eventually we're going to go 1, 2, 3, or 2 or 3 spots up, so we would be trying to go down. Because if we don't go down, we would wipe out. However, if we can successfully ride it all the way to the shore, we're going to gain bonus points. If we go through a tube, we'll gain even more bonus points and more tokens. And as you can tell, there's a lot going on. I want to warn you, it's actually quite simple. It's just really difficult to explain. So that, in a kind of crazy jumbled nutshell, is how you play Tavarua. Alright then, Tavarua from Far Off Games, coming to a Kickstarter near you very soon. I'll be sure to post the Kickstarter link down below. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game is not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. First, it is devoid of player interaction. There's very little player interaction in this game. Yes, sometimes when you're going into the same break, there's player interaction. You have to play the cards, and hopefully you have the right colored card and the right numbered card over someone else. And that's a little bit of player interaction. Also, some of the special cards can have player interaction if you want to screw somebody over based on how they're balancing on their board. But for the most part, there is next to no player interaction in this game, which is semi-thematic, though, because, you know, in surfing, really, there's not too much interaction with other people. You're not, like, ramming into other people, but that is going to turn some people off. Next, and the biggest comment I have with this game is that there is a lot of fidgetiness in this game. Now, Cody said he was trying to fix that with some various other things, different things going on here, improving the iconography and stuff like that, but there is just a lot of moving parts and pieces in this game, and it makes it feel fidgety from time to time. There's lots of tokens, there's different boards that do different things, that can play different cards. There's 3 different ways to score based on if you wipe out or if you ride to the shore. There's different bonuses that you can get. And there's just a lot of things going on. And this is a beast to teach someone. It's not a complex game. And it's got, I put it like Race for the Galaxy-esque, where there's just this high learning curve. And you're just like taking it all in, and then you get it. And it's like, oh, I got it. And it's simple at that point, and it's simple and enjoyable, which I'll talk about in the pros, but before you get there, it's just like, what? I gotta remember this, and I gotta remember that, and then just even setting up the game, you're supposed to take this out, and take that out, and then shuffle this up, and do this, and do that, and there's a lot of fidgetiness that is there. But if you can get past that, Tavarua is a really fun experience. I definitely am going to give this game a recommendation, and one of the main reasons that I like this game is it doesn't feel like any other game. I've played tons and tons. I've probably played over 1,000 games, and this game does not really feel like anything else. It's just a different beast. And I mentioned all the fidgetiness in this game and the lack of player interaction in this game, but I feel like that actually kind of adds to the theme. It feels like a thematic game. It just feels like you're out there catching the waves, trying to get the most points, switching up boards, going to the shore, turning in your Stoke, you know, and there's a lot of cool stuff in this game. Now, I am a big fan of a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving pieces. Now, I mentioned that in the cons, because I know a lot of people are not the biggest fan of that, of having to keep track of this and that and this, but I really do. I really enjoy that an awful lot. I love when you got the 2 tunnels there, the tubes there, what are they called? The tunnels, and you have to try and go through them, and you're figuring out, oh man, which card do I want to play? Which card do I want to play? And it's like, you're also kind of strapped by what cards are in your hand, and I like that quite a bit. That's another con I mentioned. There is a good deal of luck in which cards are in your hand at which time based on what cards come up. You know, if you get a +3 backwards and all your cards are backwards, your balance is pretty much shot. There's not too much you can do about that. What else did I like about the game? The graphic design is pretty well done. The components, even in the prototype, are very, very nice. And if Zia, Legend of a Drift System, is indicative of what we can expect with this game, I mean, really nice components probably, but the prototype itself is very, very nice. I like the artwork, I like the theme, and it comes across. So overall, I am a big fan of Tavarua. Not the biggest fan of the name, but I am a big fan of the game. It just doesn't feel like anything else I've played, which is always a good thing. And once you can get past that steep learning curve, it's quite an enjoyable game. So that is Tavarua from Far Off Games. It's on Kickstarter right now, I do believe. Be sure to check out the Kickstarter link down below. Tell Bowers Game Corner sent you. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below and in the comments below. Let me know, have you ever gone surfing? I tried to go surfing once when I was in California. I was terrible at it, so I just ended up going to get drunk. But have you ever gone surfing? And if so, should I give it another shot? It looks awesome. It feels like it would be an amazing sensation just to ride above the water. Even if it's just for a split second. I feel, I can ski, so I guess that would be the next closest thing. But let me know, surfing, have you done it? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.